We are now officially recording. It is another edition of Sunday Market Outlook, April 7th. Rich Vendiga here, tapped in with Brent Badal. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So, Brent, pass it to you, my bro, so we can get over these fundamentals real quick.
Yep. Let's go ahead and get to it. So we have kind of a chill week. We had a really busy week last week for sure. It was noticeable on the charts. We broke another high again on gold, extremely high on gold. We went way past kind of what we were looking at. We were excited to see 2,300 possibly, and even went way beyond that. So we should have some good news, hopefully, to kind of level out that and start playing around. It did close really nice the end of the week. Like there was a nice little movement at those last few hours. So it should up nicely. Tomorrow, uh, nothing really on the charts, but I would still definitely be careful. As you guys know, I'm kind of on the conspiracy side and everything. And as we know, there's a lot of stuff happening tomorrow. There's been a lot of things as well on the war side of things. So there was some attacks supposedly in Iran. There was some boats that would stop from, I forgot, one country to another country that had from supposedly taking military stuff from, I can't remember if it was like Russia to Korea, Korea to Russia, something like that. So there's a lot of stuff happening that we're not really seeing on the news that could definitely push a lot more. And then tomorrow we have the solar eclipse, have your glasses ready, all that good stuff, right? Have fun, enjoy. It's part of life too. Make sure you look at the floor. That's something a lot of people don't do. I remember when I was super young, everybody looks up, but actually if you look down, you're gonna see some really cool like spirals and stuff on the floor. Just a quick little note there. But there's no news, but the market could actually bounce and move sporadically just because there's a lot of things happening tomorrow. So obviously, we're going to make sure that we continue with our proper risk management, lot size, all that good stuff that you've learned in akashx. So nothing really to be like scared about, but just definitely expect some big movements happening tomorrow, even though there's nothing set on the calendar there. Tuesday again, we have kind of a chill day again. Things relaxed, everything's normal. We don't have really much news. There's tentative here with the economic optimism. There's no time for it. So we'll see if this does happen. It'll probably happen right before the bell, I would say maybe. So keep an eye on that one for sure. Then we start hitting into the bigger news. Right now we're Wednesday. Now we're talking about CPI. CPI, we know CPI and PPI are the ones that move immediately. We don't get caught up on what the news is saying, but we just need to prepare and know what that news moves like to see if we're going to trade it or we're not going to trade it. So 7:30, gold likes to move as it is, and then we have that happening 1 hour before the opening bell. We have the core PPI, PPI monthly, PPI yearly, so we have big news there. Then right after that, we have Bowman speaking, which shouldn't do nothing really. Then we have our opening bell, and then after that, we have our minute meetings, and we have our 10-year bond. 10-year bond can move pretty good. This is the one that I always say that we need to continue paying attention to. This one still keeps on being yellow, but we've seen it consistently move. Every time we see federal budget balance move for the last like 2 quarters, we see a jump. It might not be something crazy, but we see a jump of 10, 20 pips move in the opposite direction. Just kind of like a weird little movement that happens at that moment. That is happening at 1 o'clock. So again, Wednesday, we have lots of news all the way through the morning, all the way from 7:30 all the way up until to 3 o'clock probably for a lot of the day. We're going to have lots of movement there on Wednesday, which is a good day really in the week for it to move. Thursday, we get that right back to back. Anytime we see CPI, we're going to see PPI right away. So we see the core PPI, PPI monthly, unemployment claims. So we see two different moves there, unemployment claims and PPI. This is interesting because it happens at the same time because maybe the PPI wants to push up, but then unemployment claims wants to push down. That is a lot of times when you see that happen in that first 5 minute time candle. And if you clack it down to the 1 minute, you'll see it go up, down, up, down. Like in a matter of 5 minutes, you see those big wicks up and down. Or if you look at the 15 or 5 or 15 minute, you see that big candle with both wicks crazy and then that little body of the candle. A lot of times that's why, because you have two major newses that might be going the opposite way, but it's going to do that tug of war, right? It's going to pull back and forth. That happens at 7:30. Then later on during the day, we have our 30-year bond, which is red. So again, just like treat the 10-year bond just like the 30-year bond. There's still bonds, there's still actions. It has to do a lot with where the dollar is going. this set of news that were happening with the bonds, with the CPIs, with everything, this could be the week that actually gives a little bit of strength to the US dollar. So we could see gold actually drop this time based off the news. I don't like leaning much on what the news has said. I'm more on just kind of seeing what the chart wants to tell us, because a lot of times the news is just an excuse to push the market wherever it wants to go just a lot faster. But if we still want to keep a little bit of consideration, because there are some educators, there are some traders that do actually pay attention to what the news has stated. This is good enough news throughout the week to actually give strength to the dollar and push gold back down really where it should be. Like I said, it's not really should be up high for many reasons, trading reasons, just economy reasons, everything. Gold really shouldn't be where it's at right now at this time of the year. We should be seeing it way down, maybe already seeing it into the 1800s, 1700s. So it's significantly down. We should be seeing that. And we have a lot of news happening throughout the week. And then Friday, we close out at 9 o'clock. So we have the opening bell. And then 30 minutes later, we have our consumer sentiment and our inflation expectations, right? So hopefully, like I said, with everything, we see kind of gold take that drop, because obviously it's way up here where it just shouldn't be. I mean, Rich will go over right now Gold NAS, but like I said, we were expecting this to kind of come up here. That's why we even charted up the buy last week. We were looking probably around a 2300, but not all the way up here. So it's pretty crazy. Big drop, big down. But I'll pass it over to you, Rich, so you can go over the chart.
For sure. Awesome. So appreciate you, man, for going over the news. Definitely in agreement. At some point what goes up must come down, right? But luckily we haven't been trying to short gold too much. I think we learned our lesson pretty early on once we started getting those early rallies like a week or two ago. But yeah, let's go ahead and actually pull up trading view here. One sec. Here we go. All right. So as far as gold, again, obviously from a structures standpoint, very bullish, right? Very simply put. Just to keep things simple for everyone on here, we want to always mark up extreme highs and lows whenever we're looking at market structure, right? So, we've seen on just this 1 hourly chart, we had this nice dip. We have now broken and closed above these previous highs very strongly. There's no room for misinterpretation. There's a clear, super strong break of structure above the high. So at that point, just from, structure 101, if we look at any significant low like this one, and we look at retracement levels, if we're going to continue the general, bullish trend where we had this low, we kind of made our push up, and we're now having a pullback to make a new high. That is what I would expect until we, exactly like Brent said, have the charts show me otherwise, right? Because again, the news, we can anticipate things, but at least from my experience as a trader, every time I try to anticipate instead of responding to what the market is showing, I found myself losing more trades, right? So we want to just allow, the market to show us, where it wants to go. So from a structures perspective, as long as we're not breaking and closing below, these levels of 2280, 2270, then we should again maintain either now for buys, right? Or again, somewhere down in these retracement levels where we can come up higher again and form a new high. The only real bearish scenario that I would say is if we actually get a spike above here and we start showing that willingness to reverse, then we might want to look for something over there where we're maybe a bit overextended. Or if we really start to see price break and close below these lows, then I'd start looking at the long-term sells again. But until those if scenarios happen, again, really looking at this as really like my last, retracement area before we come back up for gold. So still bullish until further notice. Again, I've been mostly on NAS as far as like my signals and everything, simply because we have so many great educators and traders on there, like you, Brent, Matthew, Joel. I mean, just you three alone is already a powerhouse on one asset, right? So I just kind of wanted to add value in a couple different other pairs or things. But I always love to break down gold. I do take opportunities from time to time on there. For my smart money people, there is definitely imbalance as well from this big drop off that we had. at the beginning of today, right? So we saw that as the market opened for gold today, we had a very steep drop off that happened pretty much instantaneously as the market opened. So a lot of, absence of buyers here. So at some point, once we start seeing the shift, we're going to definitely at minimum come back up into this 2320 area. For gold, it's just a matter of timing it, right? The last significant bearish candle that pushed the market lower as a fake out, right, was this area right here before we actually broke structure. So if I had to really mark up a like last retracement area where gold could come back into that, I would expect it to, basically respect from there would be this whole bearish candle. Again, if we mark up this little high to low, this is the zone that I would say, hey, look, price has shown a fake out from this area. And if we actually look at the retracement on here, anything below 50, 62% will be ideal. And we do see that that is below 62. So I would be pretty much green light for some type of, buys around this area if we do get shifts of structure once we tap into that. And then again, either targeting this imbalance in here or breaking new highs. So this is my analysis personally for gold as of right now. But yeah, do you want to? Oh, yeah, I know you just showed gold basically. Do you want to touch anything else on this chart here, Brent?
No, that's pretty much you got it. I mean, I'm looking at I know I don't really trade Sundays, but I'm actually up high right now. I went in at 2307. I was like, bro, that 2007 is so nice. Because if you look at the 304, it's perfect. Like for the stop loss and then the take profit, there's no reason why I wouldn't go actually to 10, if not 14. And then like you're like in 20. So I actually went into one. But yeah, I'm not obviously I didn't call it as a tap or anything like that because I'm not big on trading Sundays anyway, so it's not worth really putting out there. I just did it. I
Yeah,
normally do a six lot. I did a one lot, so it's kind of it was just like I got to do it. It was there, but no, same thing. I mean, I think we should come up really for that big drop that we had, at least kind of like halfway through, and then continue down. Hopefully, have it break that low and then come down there. So yeah, I just we need to take care of that. Really, at that point, it would be nice. I wouldn't want to see this keep on going up because it's just that same thing. It's something that we really haven't been there. And I'm not huge on just saying, okay, you know what, let's wait for the high. And once it hits the high, we'll just sell. I mean, sure. I mean, I did that many times last week and it's like a probability thing, but now we're just half gambling at that point, and I don't like that either. So I would rather it come down and we could grab those prior highs, lows, and actually level out, find liquidity, all that good stuff.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I think really this entire zone that I would have, this is a range of about 160 pips. So obviously, that's the thing with looking at certain zones, guys, is if especially if you're looking at higher time frames, how I usually do like a 1 hour, even something smaller like a 15-minute on gold, 100 pips, 150 pips is really not a lot in the grand scheme of things, right? With targets over here for a 2-to-1 of grabbing about 340 pips is the idea. Now, the only way to refine that again is if we basically again, right now we could go for buys, like Brent said, right? If we look at smaller time frame structure, there are opportunities. We could definitely see buys off there. If we do end up coming down first to, these areas, essentially what I would really be looking for once we tap into that zone is for price to go from a bearish structure back to a bullish structure. And that's where we have those reversal patterns that I like to wait on. So essentially, I'll probably be a little bit better if we draw it with this. We simply come into the zone, consolidate, and then really shift structure off of that. And then we can go ahead and confirm the buys at that point. So this is my typical way I like to trade with a trend is we simply identify, the low and the high. We wait for a good retracement level. And once we're there, we look for smaller time frame reversal patterns and then buy it from there. So that's gold. As far as NASDAQ, obviously, if you guys have been kind of seeing what I've been doing with my personal strategy for Liberty, it's still basically, in a sense, this what I've always, done, even on gold. It's just a matter of playing off of these ranges that form. So I'm not gonna touch on that right now. I'm actually gonna delete these prior week setups here. But really where we stand with NAS right now is following up from what happened on NFP, right? So on NFP, and then we look at this 1 hour chart, this is really nice right now to me. We have this low that was put in the market here, or better yet, really everything, guys, on NASDAQ for me started when we actually had a fake out of the low over here. And this is why when you stick to one pair or a couple pairs, like how Brent and me do, like we really specialize on like gold and NAS, right? And we don't look at anything else. It really allows us to see the full like story of what something is doing and kind of, keeping up with the entire storyline. So, obviously NAS for this time really consolidated on the higher time frames and gunned for all of these lows. And once we did that, we see a rejection that led to this really strong bullish move, right? So that is important for context purposes, because once we made this low and we broke structure here to form a new high, you can see we respected the low. And from this point, we made that big push to break structure above this high. So all in all, again, we went from very bearish, pushing lower, to shifting structure bullish, respecting the low, and then putting in a new high, if you're following along. So at that point, this is the last low before the high, and we have retraced fully into that, where NFP kicked in and we saw that very strong reaction off the zone. So at that point, I think, heading into tomorrow and really just tonight is, seeing how price kind of retraces. But all in all, I still expect overall bullishness in NASDAQ, right? For either us coming into filling the rest of the void from the beginning of this very strong drop at minimum. At minimum, we'll come a little bit above this high. And from there, if we drop, that may happen. But I'm still expecting price to, push a little bit higher just off of the reaction that we had on NFP. Really from a structural perspective, if we have this low that puts in a new high, this is all one complex pullback to make a new high in NAS. But again, that's just a macro view of it. And I know that a lot of us were in and out of trades within, roughly a day or even obviously less. Brent obviously scalper and everything. So we'll see. As for what I do, I'm going to look at how this kind of plays out from now to about midnight Central Time. And that'll kind of give me a directional bias if we're going to be selling or buying off of this zone right here. So that's what I got for NAS. But definitely NFP was fire. I'm sure. I don't know if Brent, did you trade NAS during NFP?
No, I traded gold. Got
Gold.
100 pips.
Yeah,
Thanks. Shout out to our friend Pal, our buddy
fire.
Pal. Got 100 pips on that on gold. I looked after at NAS and I was like, oh, I should have taken NAS instead. Once I looked at it, I was like, oh, that was so much. I would have got like triple the pips, but no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
No, NAS, I mean, the only thing with it was, and this is something that you guys, gotta obviously, expect, right? Whenever we're trading with news. And that's why Brent takes his time to really cover the news before we, kick off the week, because, especially unemployment claims, NFP, like some of these very high impact news events, you're gonna have shenanigans like this, right? Because this was a signal that was called where we ended up jumping into the buys. We smacked a TP1 for about roughly 300 pips. And then from there, we literally grabbed the low right here and like basically tapped stop. Obviously, at that point, you would want to go break even. But I personally left the position open and monitored it very closely. I usually don't ever tell anybody like, hey, take off your stop loss. But I had a very hard like stop in mind of, anything below here is we're out of the trade. But I had a feeling during NFP, which is something we see where you're going to have these spikes, right? But seeing that we did that and then really maintained above here, that led to this really nice push. So I think, again, just being on a huge drop prior and then consolidating, faking out, and making a new push, I think we're still going to see some more bullishness overall. At least, within this area, we should still see buys. And then we'll go from there. But that's what I got for NAS. I don't know if you got any different ideas or what you personally see, or if you want to share your screen, Brad, for NAS.
No, same thing. I've been actually working on a 1 minute strategy on
Yes.
NAS and gold, and it's been working pretty neatly. And yeah, I mean, looking at the 1 minute side of things too, right now, yeah, we should. It definitely makes sense for this. I mean, it's already going up based off what happened with crazy how it opened too. Like I'm looking at the 1 minute open between like Friday and now, and it jumped up right away with 300 pips. It opened up. Already came for that, but it's making a really nice, like all we need is one good push up and then we're gone. Like once it breaks that 130, we're gone. And there's so much room. I mean, literally there's room all the way to 18,200. Like it's just, there's nothing there that could really stop it at that point. So it would be really nice to see a, nice little NAS rally happen through this week. It's cool. And then again, we have enough news to make those big wicks up and down, back, forth, to where we could grab 200-300 pips on each side in a matter of 50 minutes. So it'll be fun to trade NAS this week for sure.
Yeah, no, and I see what you're saying. I haven't really like looked at the market much since we like before we started this call, but this huge nice move here
Yeah.
on the 1 minute to start
Yeah, I
off
mean, here,
trading looking
I'll share my
strong.
screen really quick and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, but
Just so you can see what this madness looks like. So it's more in the 1 minute side, starting to look from Friday, right? What happened Friday?
mhm.
Boom, we have that back up, restructure, comes down, high, low. Then we have the opening, how it leaves that big gap all the way up, hits that high again from here, which is great because it respects it from here, drops down, levels, respects, drops down. So it's super respectful right now. Now they change the character, so we just need that push up, come down, and then just break off. And now we have from pretty much here to level it off all the way to up here to the previous high. Because I mean, we still, that probably could be, it would be nice to even over London if we see something happen, even over London at that point where it just finally breaks off. And then we just see those big ups. And even over London, if we were to see this, that'd be awesome.
100%.
But yeah, that's it for me, bro.